All right, 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as apologizes for the habit incident.
I literally, as I was standing, like,
All right, well, it's okay.
there it is.
Yeah, it happens.
There's no announcement. So.
All right.
No.
So, the meeting is being reported by Norton Media and Norton Public Schools. So hi, Gina. Nobody else really cares what anybody reporting. Vote to approve. I just said hi, Gia. I said nobody else is really good. I already said hi to Peter. So a vote to approve the minutes of March 21st joint meeting. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that? Minutes?
Nope. No.
Is there a motion to approve the March 21st, 2024 minutes?
So.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then, April 11th, open session meeting minutes. Everyone have a chance to look at that? Anything on that? Is there a motion to approve April 11th minutes? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, that was quick. I guess now I'm up. Warrants. I reviewed and approved the following school expense warrants: April 11th, 2024, $765,295.77, and school payroll warrants: April 4th, 2024, $1,172,958.04. I wish to enter them into public record. All right, vote to approve transportation bid. Christine, you're up.
All right, so we are based on the memo that we have given you, we are recommending an award for our invitation to bid that we had for our school transportation that was released on March 20th. We had a pre-bid conference on March 27th where we only had one vendor come, which was H&L Bloom. The deadline for the bids, return the bids was this Monday, April 22nd at 11 a.m. Even though we had 6 vendors return bids, only one was submitted, and 2 people at the bid opening, which was Matt Bloom from H&L Bloom and Steve David, I believe his name, how you pronounce his last name. And the only bid was a 5-year contract for $7,189,125 from H&L Bloom, which is our current contractor. Right now we have the 2-tiered system, tier 2 buses and tier 3. In the first, it's a 5.2 increase over our tier 2 bus and a 4.67 increase over tier 3. And combined with our athletic buses and our late bus, the total increase is around 4.8% for FY25. So we are recommending that you award to approve.
So on this, I know we're looking at school start times and all that. Is Bloom aware that we could make changes to the routes?
Yeah,
and that's
so,
okay with them within the contract, or would we have to redo it when that comes?
You don't have to redo it, but in the bid specifications, we made sure that the K through 6 was discussed, that we could change the tiered system. So I have them for you if you want to take a peek at them, but we asked for, they did a tier 4, they gave us prices for that too. So they give us comparative data than what we have currently, but they gave us options. So they know that that is being discussed and it's right in the bid spec.
Okay.
Anything else?
And then hypothetically, if we were to cut all the way down and do no middle school busing, what happens to the contract?
You can only cut 25% of a contract.
Okay.
That's just mass general law for anything. So that's why the number of buses that we've discussed at one point was important. So as long as we don't go below, which it comes out, we have an odd number, it would be like 3.7. You know what I mean? So as long as you don't go below that, then you stay within the contract limit.
Got it.
And we would have to bring some buses to the middle school because the requirements for mandated busing go up to 6th grade. Correct. So there would still be buses coming here.
Correct. And then two more questions.
Yeah.
Can you kind of define, just so everyone's aware, what is a return bid and a submitted bid? What does that kind of mean? Because you said 6 companies returned.
So they returned, requested the bid, so they asked for the bid specifications. So you have to record how many people asked for the bid specs, which is good, so they
Yeah,
wanted to see what we were asking for. So we always like to record that, and put that on public record, and then also, but then only one actually returned the bid.
Got it. So 6 companies said, hey, we want to see what you got.
That's correct.
And then 5 of those companies said, we want nothing to do with you.
They just didn't come, or didn't
Got
respond.
Which that might be.
I
the
would say
most
it's very
we've seen.
typical.
Yeah.
It's very typical for multiple companies to request the bid specs.
Well, they're all close with each other, so.
Yes, so, and, you know, typically
Well,
we
there's
only
really,
get one back.
do we know how, like, in general, how many carriers are there? There's only, I can only think of like 4.
Well, it's interesting too, because the ones that asked, other than H&L Bloom, were not one of the ones that were around us.
So they're trying to make their way.
Or they're just, and then can you just kind of,
Codes.
that's what it is. We call it.
The idea that this is a competitive process is complete shit. Yeah, this is.
And then can you, like, what is, so when it says the first year is a 5.21% increase over tier 2 and a 4.67 over tier 3, kind of what are those tiers in relation to, I guess?
Sure, so we have, 5 buses at tier 2, which means they only go to 2 schools, 2 routes. And tier 3 is they do, 3 routes, so, it would be high school LGN, then it would be Hay Middle, then JCS, that would be a 3-tier bus, which 10 buses do that, and then the other 5 do only 2. So that's why we only have the 2 and 3. At one time, I believe years ago, you had 4 tiers. And then we reduced it to 2 and 3.
Yeah, I think we reduced it and combined the,
Yes.
But I can provide you with the form where it actually shows the breakout of, and the increase every year too. So it ranges from 4.6, year 2 to 5.5, then back to 5.26, then back to 5. And based off of just, us asking around, doing some research with colleagues, they came in a very reasonable price at, just under 5.
Yeah, other communities saw things around 7, 8, 9% increases, so we were really happy with this bid from H&M. And they were happy to have that 5-year contract as well, so that was something that I think helps on both ends.
And then with
$7
this,
million is a lot of money though for busing.
also, I think they.
That is a lot of
Read
money.
a newspaper and know that we don't have a ton of money right now, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
so when we pay this, it's $7.1 million over 5 years. So we pay 1.4 million, $1.4 million for the next 5 years. Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's not, it's not an
1,400,000.
equal spread, but yes.
Okay. Now hypothetically, not that this is probably going to happen, but if we got $2 million next year that we could put towards busing, could we pay down
Like advanced pay.
advanced pay? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would. Like,
Well, because you could then save, if we had additional let's just hypothetically say next year we're working with surplus of $600,000. Could we take $600,000 and give it to Bloom, and then that would reduce our cost moving forward?
I don't think that's,
I
I don't think that's.
It's not like a car payment.
No, and
Right.
you can renegotiate like, say, they did well with the first 2 years with us because of our situation, I'm assuming. But if our 5% we wanted sooner, or we had more money here, we can change that. We can work with them and see if they were opting to change their percentages throughout the course of the 5 years of the increases, as long as the bottom line stays the same.
And we also can't prepay for services.
Okay.
With, as part of the whole school finance component, anything that we pay has to occur within that fiscal year. So,
There's one thing we can prepay. We can prepay something. Tuition.
Sometimes tuition.
Yeah.
in certain cases, but typically you have to, the services have to be rendered during that fiscal year.
And this starts July 1.
And then so we have for next year, so fiscal year 25, we have a $1.4 million bus fee that the district is paying. How much do we make in user fees?
Around 130, give or take.
So the district is paying basically $1.3 million in busing. That's with no user fees. Sorry, that's with user fees involved. So with
A
all
little
the
under
fees,
that, yeah.
yes, so we're looking at $1.3 million.
It's a massive cost, correct? It's-
That has nothing to do with actually charging for buses. Got it. Good.
Any other questions?
No.
Do we have a motion to approve the transportation bid as written?
We really have a choice.
That's why I'm like so blah about it. Okay,
So moved.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, vote on elementary ELA program adoption, Brian?
Hi,
Hi.
thank you for the nice discussion over the last couple of meetings about the program. As we kind of to bring us back to this point in time, we've had multiple rounds of negotiation with HMH. We've been really fortunate to have a flexible partner. We've been able to, deduct just about $150,000 in the total asking price over a 5-year period. So if to recall from last meeting, the committee, I believe, was looking for the 5-year adoption plan and the cost as kind of the target for us. So the target number, all in with everything, is $200,273.69. HMH is willing to pay, allow us to pay that over a 3-year period. So they would be looking for a 34% payment in year 1. That is $68,093.05. For year 2 and year 3, each would comprise 33% of the total ask. The year 2 and year 3 costs would be $66,090.31.
And just going back to my question before, we have this money because we won't be paying what we currently have, and then we had some money budgeted for it.
Yes, and we have some offsets. So what this will allow us to do is some consumables that we get, for instance, for foundations, we will not order those. So the cost avoidance to the district will be about $30,000.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're not, finding money, right? So I just want to be transparent as to how we're paying for this.
Yes.
Brian, good job on the.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just, I appreciate it. Sometimes these things get a little sticky. But I appreciate everybody's questions and the discussion about this because, I know in just honoring the work that, G is here tonight and the rest of the field test team, but as well as the curriculum council and all the elementary folks have done over the last 1.5 years. It's really, I really see this as a validation of all the time that they put in. And I will say this, and I'm not afraid to say it, it's going to be a driver of our improvement across multiple metrics sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the more in-depth curriculum conversations we've had in a while with this program, and for a variety of different reasons. Because we had asked questions about how can we do better, then we went out and find it, and now obviously the questions are constantly surrounding money, which we were able to understand where we're coming from with that and work with us. So, thank you to you and the staff for really following through what we asked them to do.
Does anybody have anything else?
This is just a logistics, I think. Why is it a 5-year program if we're paying it in 3?
We have the program and the licenses for 5 years. They would like full payment over a 3-year window.
And this is one of those things you can prepay.
So I
There you
all that
go.
extra money coming
When we have extra money,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean, thank you guys, Gia, you too, for all your work. There was never a doubt that this is what needed to happen. But when we brought this up at a time when we're talking about budget, we just needed to make sure that, we did everything we could to get the best, pricing and all that stuff, and just make sure, the community knows that how we're paying for it, just optics of it. So
Yes.
nice job, you guys. Thank you. Anybody have anything else? All right, so do we have a motion to approve the elementary ELA program adoption?
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all.
All right. Now go do good things with those little ones.
We will.
Yeah.
We will. The team is ready. And they're just so excited. We're gonna get everything going tomorrow morning.
Okay, well, I hope this is a little bit of good news in a time where it hasn't been a lot of good news. All right, so we'll move on, discussion and vote on school choice.
So I shared some information with you earlier yesterday, and I wanted to talk about some of the district costs of school choice. And first, I want to thank Casey. Casey's here. Alex Sanborn, who is one of the administrative assistants, the administrative assistants, excuse me, in the special education office, and Christine, who has spent a huge amount of time going through looking at special education services, pulling out student IEPs, double checking them against our own staff rates, and putting this information together for you. I want to start first with the fixed costs and the variable costs. Dinesh and I have spent a lot of time talking about what makes something variable versus what makes something fixed. And I appreciate the conversations that we've had. So the information that you have in front of you today looks a little bit different than it did yesterday. I had, based on just my thought process, had included all of the teacher salary information there. And what Dinesh and I discussed earlier today is really, it would just be that teacher salary that we could potentially reduce if we did not have choice. And looking at our numbers, the only place that we could really actually reduce a classroom teacher maybe would be in JCS in grade 3, because we have 14 full choice students at that grade level. At really any other level, there is not enough information or not enough students at that grade level or spread across classrooms that would make a significant impact to the number of classrooms there. So when you take a look at variable costs that are, at times dependent on student enrollment, we're looking at instructional supplies, we're looking at technology hardware or software if we are providing students with a device, general supplies within the school. So for example, art supplies, paper, all of those types of things. Our curriculum and testing material. So you just heard Dr. Ackerman talk about our new reading program that may have a marginal cost there. And then that one classroom teacher reduction based on choice. So taking a look at that, we were able to kind of figure out what a per pupil cost would be for these variable costs divided amongst our entire student enrollment. So you can see those variable costs is about $153 per student. When you take a look at the top of the sheet here, there is these fixed costs. So things that don't necessarily change based on our student enrollment. Majority of our actual staff, as I mentioned previously, we would still have school nurses, we would still have physical education teachers, art teachers. The administrative costs, when you think about our building principals, our central office, administrative assistants, our legal fees, all of those things are pretty much expected and fixed. The cost to operate and maintain our building, utilities, transportation, that is our current number for FY24. And then professional development for our staff, which in most cases is a contractual obligation. And then when you look at networking, that is not professional networking, but our networking systems for our technology and wireless services. So when we take a look at this number, it is definitely lower than the $5,000 cost that we get per student from choice. And a lot of that obviously goes to offset some of the fixed costs that we already have. In terms of the special education breakdown, as you can see, Casey and Christine and Alex gave you an example of a student in each of our schools. And to make sure that we're protecting our students' privacy, we just gave you some details about the services that they require. And we talked about what the reimbursement rate is. Those reimbursement rates that we're receiving are in the yellow. And then what the actual cost to Norton is in the purple. I think it's important for us to note that those costs that are in purple are regardless if we have a school choice student in those groupings or not. Every single one of these situations has students that are in a small group or in a group with at least 3 or 4 other students. So there's 4 or 5 students in the group, which means that in almost all cases, the groups would exist with or without those school choice students. So when you take a look, you can see that the first student example, we're saying that, what the cost, quote unquote, cost was versus the reimbursement, we're still ahead by about $680. That number is actually not the accurate number because those costs would have been maintained regardless if that student was in there or not.
Jen,
So you're actually getting the reimbursement there.
Jen, can I just break in real quick? Because
Yeah.
It's semantics, but maybe it's not. So do you mind if I explain how I look at this?
Please.
So the purple is actually not the cost. That's not the correct way to look at this. The way you want to look at this is you want to actually look at it backwards. So I'll take one that comes up as a reimbursement versus cost negative for us, the LGN student. If you look at the LGN student, it's a group of 4 people. The reimbursement right now is $3,199.50. The NPS teacher's hourly rate is $79.23 times 180 hours. That is a fixed cost because
Correct.
we will have 3 students in that in any case.
Mhm.
So the cost to us is not $3,565.33 per student. It's that number, that 79, it's the 3,565 times 4, whatever it is. Like that's what that number is. The way you want to look at this is say, okay, we're going to have that teacher in place anyways. That number. And the question is, do we want to have it with or without the $3,199.50 of reimbursement? So the things that look like a negative down here, that's actually not correct. Now, there's a different conversation that Justine brought up. And this is one I had with Vinny, and that was, if we have 3 instead of 4, you know, is the 4th student somehow detracting from the group? And maybe if you want to talk about it, like he basically said, no, in fact, it's probably better to have the 4th student in there and maybe even 5th. I don't know enough about how these groups work. I don't know the dynamic of it. Do we want to talk about that?
I mean, it really is dependent upon the group and dynamics of the kiddos that are in it, the staff that are there. Oftentimes, if it's like a counseling group, having 4 is much better than having 2 or 3 because there's more voices and more opinions to be bounced off of each other. If it's a more intensive speech or OT session, it's actually more challenging when there's that 4 in there, but there's oftentimes a paraprofessional or someone else to help support that situation. So we try to be cognizant of grouping students when we're doing that, and trying to make sure that it is the most effective and appropriate setting for both staff and students to make it a session that's going to gain progress and not detract from anyone. So I mean, it's 4, but it's kind of a ballpark as to what that would actually look like depending upon the kids that are there.
So, and that's a conversation we can keep having. But with respect to the finances of it, I don't know if this is representative of pretty much everything, but it would seem that as long as there are not individuals who are getting one-on-one service, most of them we can look at and say, okay, financially, it actually is better for us to do it because.
So we wanted to show you different scenarios to show that it is variable. Every single student, if we were to sit down and do this with every single one of our students that fall into this category, you would see these numbers fluctuate in every single scenario. But ultimately, it's a cost positive for us because we are bringing in funds that we would not have if these students were not here and not in these groups. So similar to the conversation that we had about the classroom position, there's really not a lot of opportunity for us to reduce staff if we didn't have the school choice component, because they're spaced out in a way that these groups would still happen the majority of the time. When you actually go in and you actually look at the dynamics of the group, it's almost always one choice student with 3 or 4 Norton students. And and other times I have 2 choice students with 2 Norton students. It really just depends on the particular dynamics of that grade level, those service grades, and everything else that comes with it. But to Dinez's point, those groups would be happening whether or not we're getting the reimbursement of $3,800 or not.
Sorry.
Well, there's 2 things I wanted to bring up. One's a question, one's a comment. Going back to the first sheet, I think it's important to note on the technology, the hardware. A lot of the technology and hardware opportunities all of our students have is from the school choice numbers. So I think
Yes.
that's a positive conversation to have. We'd be in a lot more dire straits if we didn't have the school choice expended appropriately towards technology. The second part, and this is just more of a question, when we look at these hourly rates, if, and I don't know this, this could be you answering, Casey or Jen, if we lose, say, a teacher that's been here 25 years and hire somebody in theory for a lower cost as a newer teacher, is that rate
It's
conditional?
totally different.
Okay.
The rate's totally different. So when we were going through this process and Christina and Alex were sitting down yesterday and I came in and we were all sitting in the conference room together. You're like, okay, so who is this staff person? You're like, oh, that person's been here for 30 years. The number's going to be different than this person who just started last year. Like, so there, it's constantly changing. And that's why every single one of these scenarios is so different. And Dan, I just want to piggyback on what you talked about with the technology piece. I think it's important for people to know that all of our curriculum funds for the last several years, including the upcoming projected budget, all of that is funded through school choice. All of our supply money comes through school choice. All of our technology comes from school choice as well. We do not have any room within our regular budget for those purchases. And it's that's something that over the years, when budgets were starting to get a little bit worse, I know, Joe said it for a number of years, we're coming to the edge of this cliff. When we were told that we needed to cut things, we moved a lot of things into school choice in order to maintain that level of service that we want to provide for our students. And unfortunately,
The well's dry.
the well's dry, and losing that money also means you're losing.
I mean, going back probably 3 or 4 years, Dr. Bayetta had floated a suggestion of tying some salaries to school choice so that people would be driven to continue with school choice, like i.e. his salary could be contingent on school choice or something of that nature. And we decided that probably wasn't the best use, or, things like that. Cause you don't want to get into, as Dinesh likes to say, we don't want to pay salaries with this.
And unfortunately, over those last few years, that has happened.
Yep.
There are salaries that are in school choice because we were not able to sustain them within the regular budget. And that's the concern that I have, as I know you all have as well. But I know Justine has questions too, but I just wanted to.
So I just have the enrollment.
Oh yes, I haven't gotten to that yet.
This is like from November, so
yeah,
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding. So you're saying the only teacher you could eliminate is from grade 3 because there's 13 school choice kids at the JC.
Potentially, yeah.
Right. So I guess when I look at this though, I see grade 4 has 15 school choice kids and grade 5 has 21. So why couldn't you eliminate a teacher from each of those grades?
So the grade 4 is 15 divided among 7 classrooms. So it's 2 students per classroom versus JCS only has 5. So it's a little bit more per classroom. I'm sorry, the grade 4 is divided by 8. Divided by 8 classrooms. So it's 1 or 2 students per classroom.
So if you cut the teacher, the numbers would go up in the other 7 classes.
So it's just because the Yale school has a greater number of sections because of all of our 4th and 5th grades together versus JCS has X amount of classrooms and LGN has X amount of classrooms. If JCS and LGN were a combined K-2, K-3 school, those numbers would be different. Like grade 3 at JCS has 14, grade 3 at LGN has 10. That's a classroom. That's 24 kids. But because they're not together in the same building, it doesn't work. If that makes sense, Justin?
It doesn't, but that's okay. Yeah, and I guess I'm just not, I feel like it's fine.
No, and so, I mean, ultimately, amongst 8 classrooms, it would be 1 or 2 student. So cutting, 15 off of 200, you might have to be at 185.
But isn't the easy way to look at it is if you had 100, just make it simple. If you had 150 students in a grade level, divided that by, just say 10, so it's easy. That's 15 kids in each class,
Yeah.
right?
Which is what most of the kids.
Well, no, I know, but if you, again, it's hypothetical, but if you had 15 kids in each class and we had 15 school choice, you'd be able to then cut a teacher. and go down.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
what you really need to do is take how many kids are in each grade
Grade level.
and then divide it by how many classroom
Yeah.
teachers you have. And whatever that number is, would be, okay, let's just, we're usually around 20, 21, 22, depending on the class. And I'll speak for my own kids. My
Yeah.
own kids are 20 and 21.
Yeah.
First and second grade. So if we have first and second grade, then we have 9 and 5. That math ain't gonna work unless we're gonna add kids to it, you know. Basically,
Yeah.
take those 11 kids and sub them out and put 2 kids in each other classroom. Now you can save on a teacher. It might increase class size. Right?
So that, yeah, but the assumption you're making is that we're fine increasing class sizes. So, yeah, you can do that, but then by the same token, I would say, well, then why don't we just cut 2 teachers and increase the class sizes even more? Or we'll
Oh,
cut
of course.
3, and so there comes there's an inflection point on students in the classroom where we say, okay, above and beyond this now, we're actually deteriorating the level of education for the Norton kids. So I think probably maybe an easier way to look at this, just to save time on the conversation, is cut a teacher from every single grade at 68,000 divided by the 246 students we have. That's $3,317 of cost. So we'll call it 3,500 just for the sake of the argument. It's not, but we'll just call it that. So it's still $1,500 in profit on each kid. Sorry to call it profit, but it is profit.
I think,
Not saying kids are a business,
but
but
I think there's two things we gotta also remember here. One, this, we have 5 examples.
Mhm.
That's 239 kids that we don't know. In terms of what are the
well, they're
red
not
or
all,
green.
they're not all in special.
I understand, but if you just took the however many are in special ed and did this whole thing, but I don't know, let's say it's 60. We should see 60 of these, because these 5 are just randomly picked, whether they're picked in a favor or not, who knows, you know? 2, so it's, and I think a bigger piece to your thing is you thought we were being reimbursed dollar for dollar.
Yes,
Clearly, we're not.
no, I was furious about that. 100% right. And that was what drove, for me, that was what drove this conversation. Was
Correct.
I was under impression A, and it was B.
Correct.
That being said, looking at this, I'm much more comfortable with it, because again, the reimbursement in the small groups, and you are right that we are seeing some limited examples here. And I don't know if, I don't know how much it would be to see more. And this is one of the reasons I actually said I wanted to delay the vote. I think I told you guys, like, we got the original numbers, which were not correct, 24 hours before the vote. It's not enough time to go through this, I don't think. I think we need time to process it, time to ask questions. People may have questions they want to ask offline of Jen and Christine, and Casey. So, you know, but again, I think if I look at it and I go backwards and say, okay, in a group of 4, we would have, you know, this teacher, no matter what, do we want the reimbursement or not? I always will take the reimbursement. I mean, it's not a ton of money, but it's, you know, it's
Positive.
whatever, it's.
Yeah, but then I think there's another piece of this, which obviously I like data and I like numbers in terms of, you know, what we're trying to do here, especially with the budget cost. But there's also a big factor of immeasurable cost here. And you can never quantify it where it needs to be. Teacher student ratio is 1. You take 246 kids out. That's removing, and our ratio, teacher and student ratio is going down. That's always a good thing. 2, burnout of our teachers in terms of, you know, they go from 22 kids in that classroom, and if you took 2 or 3 kids out, now they're down to 19, 18. That's a good thing. That's less, especially at the elementary levels. Obviously, from what we just talked about, 4 kids in a group compared to 3 kids in a group. I'm sure this situations, I would say probably 80% of those times, the smaller group in a special education classroom is probably better. You know, just do it simple. If you have 3 kids instead of 4 kids in a room, 25% of the teacher's attention is going to 1 kid. Hey, if there's only 3 kids in that room, because taxpayer money, 33%.
Right.
That's better for our kids.
Well,
And then last one, behaviors. We've seen this issue, behaviors all across the country, not just in Norton by any means, of especially our middle school level, you know. And again, I'm not saying the school choice kids are the bad kids. I'm just saying we're adding 21, 20, and grade 7, 21. We're adding 62 kids to our middle school. Let's just say 10 of those kids are behaviors. That's 10 more kids we're dealing with at a behavioral level that is taxing our vice principal, Mark Robichaud sat right here and said to us with the police stuff, saying it's just school choice. However, he did say middle school's been a nightmare in terms of this year and the behavioral issues we have. We're adding additional things that we'll never be able to quantify and add by having a school choice program at this size, in my opinion.
So you're right about if we took all these kids out, the class sizes would go down and that's an immeasurable, except you're forgetting the biggest problem with that is if we take all these kids out, what's our current take from?
Well, we can't take them all
Choice.
out.
I was gonna say, we don't have the financial luxury to have this
Let's say
conversation.
that we,
quite
yeah,
honestly.
let's say that we did, because I think it's important, because he's making a point.
1.9, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What are we gonna get? What
How
are we
much-
taking
What are we taking
in
from
this
school?
year for school choice?
A 1.6.
1.6, so 1.6 million, at this point, we're cutting a massive number of positions right now. So if you take that if we could actually take the kids out, you also have to take the $1.6 million out. So the teacher ratio is actually gonna be worse, because we're gonna now have to lay off another back of the napkin 21 teachers. So you don't have the luxury of taking them out and keeping them on.
Well, we don't have the luxury of taking them out regardless.
No, we don't, but I'm saying that you're saying there's an immeasurable, but I'm saying the immeasurable actually is not a negative like you think it is. I think it's actually a positive, because we would actually have worse numbers if we didn't have these kids and didn't have the revenue.
Plus take out the like I said, take out the 1.6 out of the budget too.
Right, take the that's what I'm saying, take 1.6 out.
That's
You have to
enough.
fire all the teachers that 1.6 million pays.
Yes,
So your school,
Yes,
your,
yes.
your classroom sizes are gonna go up.
yeah,
Yes.
it's hard to say that though. It's hard
No,
to say
it's
that
not.
because that's by taking it out.
20 teachers, there's only 12 grades. I mean, it's at least a teacher from every grade you have to cut.
Yeah, but you're not doing that because you're not taking all these kids out. We're looking at school choice from a standpoint. These
Right.
kids are here. These kids are here. This would be a phased out approach of call it 10 years. That's what I'm saying. So yes, are you taking $1.6 million
Phase out the
of
revenue
school?
too.
Oh, yes,
Right,
you
so
are.
I guess
You
I
are.
don't understand, so your point
I
is you
understand-
wanna
I
phase
understand
out
your
of
point.
school
Like-
choice.
Every year we vote on it. If we, hypothetically, if we ended school choice right now, 246 kids aren't leaving. Are we gonna lose some because our budget situation? Are we gonna lose some of people moving on, whatever, and then we're not gonna bring them in? We're going to lose 14 kids automatically because they're out, so that number's already down to 232 if you would. If everyone stays, next year we'd have 232. The following year we'd lose 18 more. So it would be a phased out approach. So now when you're looking at those numbers, it's not $1.6 million this year. It's $1.6 million spread out over 10.
I'm still not sure why you wanna phase 1.6 million
Yeah.
out over time. Like,
How are we
why
gonna
would
make
you
up
wanna
for that?
phase out revenue? I don't understand that.
Because what I would like to do, and I'm not saying get rid of school choice entirely, I'm a big school choice fan. However, in order to do it, in order to make what Norton should be in terms of like, we always say, what do we want Norton to be? How do we get there? Why are we dumping in more money and doing a school choice aspect when we're not being reimbursed for what we're putting in? We see it.
Well, we are though.
We're not. Where are your red numbers?
But the red numbers are, like,
We're not negative.
you still have the $2,300
Right.
extra. So if you take the $2,399, you subtract the 203,
But Jen,
quick math, $2,100.
so you're telling me to educate a student in Norton is $153?
Just those variable costs.
It's a variable cost.
So that has nothing to do with staffing, that has nothing to do with all of the other components that are up top. We didn't include athletics that we pay for, we didn't include other things there, because it's not for every
Correct.
student.
So now if you add these numbers again together and did, like you said about the JCS and LG, take those two. I'm looking 7, 8, 10 years down the road. If we ever did combine those schools, that is now another option that we are now we would start seeing the phase process.
So what
in
I think
terms of,
we,
like, where we
what
would
I
go.
think we would really need to do if we wanted to phase things out, and I do want to talk to you guys about my recommendations tonight as well. What we would need to do is figure out how are we making up whatever we're phasing out each
Exactly.
year, right? So, because we do not have any flexibility within the budget to account for any loss of revenue.
Correct.
Because it was different 5 years ago when we were not paying salaries with school choice, when we were paying for the extra, like, nice to have stuff. That's not the case anymore. So if we were to phase out whatever it was over time, we are really going to need to be continuing to look at how are we getting that money back in?
Totally agree.
I think school choice is, I think it can be a great thing for a district. But I think when we're looking at, like, we've heard all year about the special education, the behaviors are increasing at a younger age. When we look at the overall piece, I think we just have to be very specific on numbers and where we're going to accept it and how many, like, where is the cost benefit and where is there not a cost benefit? And looking at the immeasurable, as Nick says, the kind of qualitative piece to it, and then also looking at the numbers. Like, there's got to be a balance in between. I don't think that we can just be like, yes, let's just take everybody in. That, you know, I mean, we never really are denying kids because it's worked.
Well, and legally, we
Can I just like?
Well, right, you can deny at a point of, we can only fit 5 kids in this grade, you know what I mean? Like, and I think we need to like really look and hone in on those specific numbers, that obviously you can't deny a kid that's applying for, if they have, you know, unless they have very specific classroom needs that we can't accommodate for, obviously. But
I just wanted to just clarify, like, the numbers that are on that sheet with the 5 students that are there, that's not including the general, like, $6,000 that we get for them. So that's over and above money that's either costing us or being reimbursed for. The 4 in the small group setting is the state number that is outlined for small group. It's not our number. So when they give us small group, it's kind of like, that's how they are defining a small group, is 4 and under. Ours typically are 2 or 3. They're really not at 4. It's because it's not best practice for a lot of kids. I mean, that's really what a small group is defined as and how we break it down. And then in terms of like the reimbursement for special education staff, again, those numbers are, I mean, our spreadsheets are broken down by our staff, but those are, again, state rates that are set for each of those things. We've been working really hard over the past couple of years to redefine our service delivery grids and our IEPs so that we're maximizing our money that we're getting back for school choice. So a lot of times, so previously years, like we had general ed teacher para or special education teacher versus reading specialist. We get a higher reimbursement rate for reading specialist. We're making sure that our team chairs are itemizing it as an individual session or small group or large group, because those numbers are reflective of the costs that we get reimbursed as well. So, I mean, that's something that Christine actually and Alex really taught us, because we didn't realize that in terms of the reimbursement piece. So we've been really working towards maximizing all of those pieces. But I just want to say, like, I know that we're focusing on some of the negative pieces of school choice with the special education and the behaviors and the numbers and things along those lines. But I also want to point out that we've got a lot of really, really positive students that have come out of our school choice. We've got amazing kids who are running DECA and doing amazing and doing wonderful things that are amazing peer models for our students that have come to join our sports teams in high school and have really made them what they are. And having kids that want to come here and want to play Norton sports and not want to leave to go to other schools and things along those lines. So I think that we, like, you're talking about the immeasurables of the negative impacts, but there's also the immeasurables of the positive things that come out of it as well. And the experiences that kids are getting. You know, we've got quite a few diverse students that have come in through school choice that our Norton students may or may not have experienced. And it brings a positive, more inclusive community into what we have going on right now. So I just wanted to make sure that while we're looking at negative immeasurables, that we're also looking at the positive impact as well.
I think that's a good point, because I guess somewhere along the way, I'm confused about how this turned negative about school choice. I don't know how I don't know how we flipped that, or how it became like special ed and school choice, and it became like kind of this negative. I'm not sure how we got here.
I just, when you say we make $1.6 million off of school choice, that's not real, because we're not taking out the cost of what we're doing.
But we are getting a check for 1.6 million. I think that's the bottom line of what school choice is.
Yes, but we have 246 kids that we have to service one way or another. So that's my piece.
We don't though. If we don't have school choice, we don't have $1.6 million.
The math is your enemy here, not school choice. Like, I don't understand, like, if there's a mistake in the math, point it out. But I mean, I don't, like, the intangibles, I'm not really sure, like, what we're supposed to do with something we can't measure by definition. Like, I get what you're saying. If we think that school choice is inherently bad and does not suit our students, Norton students' needs, then that's a different conversation to have. I thought this was originally because you were not convinced that this was a positive monetary program for us. I thought that was the original thing.
I understand that, but like even with this, what I have, you're not telling me how much money we're making.
So Nick, if we take the $153,
Five thousand
right?
minus 153.71 is, I call it back of the napkin, because you can't, even these numbers, I'm not 100% sure that these numbers are even accurate. But I mean, that's a back of the napkin kind of, we're making 5,000 minus $153.71.
For example, technology, $41. We get iPads or Chromebooks for $41.
Well, when you take a look at what we have a 5-year lease, we get like,
If we're getting
Contract
laptops
pricing.
and Chromebooks for $41, you're absolutely stealing.
It's spread over the
it's
district.
spread over the district, it's spread over the 5 years.
But
You
when
get
you're looking
bulk
at it,
pricing.
I get it, I get it.
But take
when
that
you're
out of
looking
there,
at
if we
it-
don't have school choice, we can't even have that discussion. The school choice brought us on. And one thing I wanted to touch on with Casey, the positive impact, I believe it was 3 years ago, the valedictorian from Norton High School.
He
a
was.
School choice
And
student.
he went to Dartmouth.
I'm not saying it's not positive school
Yeah.
choice. I'm a huge, trust me, I'm a huge school choice fan. My issue has become that I just don't think it's nearly as profitable to what we're saying it is.
So-
That's me. And again, this hasn't proven my point to say, hey, this is actually $1.6
Nick, let me
million.
explain.
Well,
Can I tell
guess
you how I
what
got
would-
these numbers?
Yeah, can I just say, like, I guess I would say at this point, though, like, I guess tell us how you want to measure it then, because we've measured it like the right way, and you're saying that doesn't really measure, it's not correct, so I guess the
You
question
need to
is.
figure out these 246 kids, how many are in general, how many are in special ed, and break them down. You cannot tell me we spend $17,000 per pupil in Norton, and then for $153 variable cost, we can educate that child correctly.
So we don't spend 17,000 per pupil unless you take our entire budget and divide it by the number of students.
That's correct.
That is not the way to do it.
We can-
Go on and take whatever, any 10 random kids and move them out of town tomorrow. And tell me how much money we saved. The number is 0. It's not a per kid expense. It doesn't work that way. That's not how a budget operates. So you have to figure out, okay, is there an incremental cost to that one kid being in here? And that's what these numbers are. These numbers are basically saying this is what that cost is. And we get 5,000. Is the 5,000 too low? Yeah, you and I both agree on that. I mean, it should be much, much higher than that. But
So why though?
I mean, another
why should it be
example.
higher than that?
If it's profitable, why are we asking the state
Because
for
it's
more
been
money?
5,000, well, because it's been 5,000 for whatever, 17 years.
Waste.
Meanwhile, the number for, what do you call it, the charter schools goes up
Charter.
every damn year.
Okay, so
Why
then-
shouldn't we have the same luxury as them?
Okay, then that's my question. Why are we asking the state for more money? If you're telling me we don't need more money from the state?
Well,
I don't
that's,
think we ever
yeah,
said
that's
that.
not.
Yeah,
that's
I
not-
don't think
Well,
we
no,
ever
it's-
said
No,
that.
Nobody's saying we don't
Yeah,
have more
only need
money.
more money. Nobody ever said that.
You're making up statements. That was never said.
Right.
Time out. We were all in agreement when I reached out to our state reps that school choice money should go higher.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it should.
So why are we asking for more school choice money if we don't actually need more school choice money?
Who said we don't need
Yeah,
it?
but first of
For
all,
$5,000?
no, you're conflating two different things. You're conflating it is that profitable for us and the 5,000 per year over the past 17 years is somehow a fair number. Those two are mutually exclusive.
Okay, but
I think we were more concerned with the disparity of our school choice reimbursement versus
Right.
say like the virtual high school
Because
reimbursement.
don't
Because
forget,
theirs have gone up, like.
charter goes up, the vote goes up, everything else goes up. Why doesn't our one revenue source go up? Our revenue source should go up as well. And we all agree on that. I mean, I think you're 100% right on that. But that is not the same issue as whether or not school choice is net positive or negative. Those are two
I
different.
don't know.
For the special ed reimbursement, it's only kids that are on IEP. So if a
Correct.
student is getting like RTI services, we don't get reimbursed for that, correct? That's still at 5,000.
What is our cat?
RTI is a student who, well, I mean, somebody else can explain it, but it's a student that maybe got screened for OT, for example, and they were picked up for, I don't know, 6 sessions, 8 sessions, 12 sessions, where the OT or CODA works with them, maybe in a small group, maybe one-on-one, just to give them a little additional support over a certain amount of time.
And we would,
I think so, or like you're working with a reading specialist. those
Or
things.
yes, yeah.
I have to say, Justine, we really don't have the extra staff to do OT RTI, which is really sad, right? Because there are definitely kids who could use it, but we just.
Well, my son's getting RTI.
Well, in small pieces, right? So it's not a huge amount, but, I think, so my recommendation to the committee tonight is for us to not accept any new students in K-6 for next year. Because of the fact that we are looking at a really significant budget deficit, we are pulling back some of our supports for next year, which looks at our reading interventionists, our math interventionists, our coaches are gone. So I really feel that next year we should really maybe pause on K-6. I am recommending that we could do an additional 5 students in each grade 7 to 10. I am also, one of the things that we've always done is that if a student is a school choice here and they're a student and they have a younger sibling, we want to make sure we're keeping families together. So that would be.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you say an additional, are we at max at all those grades now?
At 7 to 10?
Yeah.
No, I think we probably still have a little bit of wiggle room only because of just the way that we're able to spread students out.
No. I'm saying, do we have the number we are currently at? Do we have that many students enrolled? You want to
I'm sorry, I don't
you
understand
want
the
to do an
question.
additional 5 students, let's say,
We could.
in grade whatever, 7?
7, yep.
So 7, let's just say
It's at 21.
21 is our cap right now.
21 is how many we have enrolled currently.
And
It's not a cap.
do we have a cap on it right now?
There have been no caps
caps.
recently.
So you want to put a cap on?
So I'm saying we
7
can
to
take
10.
5 more
You want to
per
put
grade level.
a cap on
Yes.
7 to 10. Okay.
Not have it wide open. And the reason I'm not advocating for a wide open is because I think with our budget issues, we have to be thoughtful about what we're doing here. In terms of elementary students, it would only be if they have a sibling that's already enrolled in school choice and they're coming up. Last year, we brought in 20 new kindergartners across the 2 buildings. That's a lot of kids. And the other thing I would ask the committee to consider would be allowing our allowing our NPS staff to bring their children into school choice if they so chose. It's actually it's a benefit for both sides. It helps us keep staff here in district, and it's a benefit to their families too.
So
And we don't get a lot of benefits as educators.
2 questions then.
Yes, Dan.
Do we not allow new school choice in 11, or is it just based on the number that you're not? I know we don't allow seniors.
We don't allow seniors, and we typically don't allow grade 11 either. We kind of get to grade 10 and we feel like sometimes if you're leaving a junior or senior year of high school, that's for a reason. And
So secondly, with the staff exception to your proposal, so if it's like a staff with like a 2nd grader, like a 1-0, that would be.
yes, and typically, I mean, I had a staff member that their daughter is coming to kindergarten, and we've been doing choice for so many years, and she said to me, do you have any idea what's going to happen? Like, this has always been our plan. And I said, well, we're going to talk about it, but it is my recommendation that staff will continue to.
So the exceptions at the elementary level are legacy siblings and staff. Staff.
That would be my recommendation.
And I still don't think we should go with this tonight, because I'm not sure if Nick is comfortable with it. I don't know if Justine is or not, but I think there's still questions, is my guess.
I just had a quick one, just about it. So, if we were to do the 7 to 10, let's say, in grade 7, they decided they're not gonna send their kid, so now that drops down to 20. So now, like, are we gonna cap it at, like, for grade 7, it's 21 plus 5 would be 26, is that the cap? Or, like, if
That's a great question.
You know what I'm
I hadn't
saying?
thought about that, honestly, Justine. I mean,
I guess the other question.
I don't know how many 7th graders we'll have, but I think as long as we don't go over that 26 number, I would be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So
I'm just curious, like,
No, I
you know what I
appreciate
mean?
that.
Like, if a
Yeah.
student is like, oh, I was school choice, but I'm gonna go back to my hometown or
Yeah,
whatever.
no,
like, you know.
I honestly hadn't thought about it, but thank you.
I guess my question on that, and Justin made me think of it, and I just lost it.
Sorry.
Got it.
Plus 5. Kids don't
Plus
come.
5 on current numbers,
Yeah.
basically, right?
I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
So the legacy, that's anyone who's currently in and or has a sibling in. So if you have a 2nd grader who's school choiced in and then you have a kindergartner coming, you
Yes.
would take them
Yeah, to keep
100%.
families together.
100%.
Yeah.
And then Norton Public School teachers, staff, is there, if you're paid by Norton Public Schools, you're in, is it a full-time role? Is it part-time? Is it nurses, admin, everybody?
Norton Public Schools staff, so our,
Substitute teacher?
no. That's not a full-time position.
So it has to be full-time.
You have to be
You have to be an actual-
an actual
Yeah.
employee.
Correct.
did you mention, yeah, maybe I said this and I didn't hear you, but, we've also all, historically allowed, families that moved out.
Yes.
You did mention that, okay.
I didn't mention it, but no. So typically what happens during the course of the year, if a family leaves Norton, they are able to, move over to a VA choice family. And a lot of times, families do that just for the end of the year, and then other times families want to stay, and so we've had a number of families over the year.
There are definitely families that moved out still.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, we had a couple situations this year too that would allow them to stay.
So how do we, I guess from a law standpoint, isn't that kind of favoring people or not? We can just tell them they're in and other people are out?
Well, so it's just,
Are we selecting at that point?
technically no, because they are already here, so we're not telling somebody from the outside they can't attend, we're just allowing someone to stay. So basically what we would do in terms of we have to send this to DESE by June 1st. So we would say school choice is closed in K-5 unless these two situations, K-6, excuse me, and then 7-10, this many spots, and then 11 and 12 is closed.
And how's our selection process work right now? First come, first
It's first come, first serve. So what happens is, previously, Dr. Bayetta and myself, we meet with every single school choice family. We bring them in, we have conversations about why they want to come to Norton. We talk about grades, we talk about attendance, we talk about the expectation of getting your child to and from school, because we do not provide transportation. If the student has an IEP, it goes to Casey. Casey reviews the IEP, and there have been cases where we've had to say, you know, I'm really sorry, we're not able to, you know, meet the needs of your child's IEP here, or our program is at capacity. And those are really the only cases that we can say no, or unless there's a felony charge.
So I remember my question.
Yeah.
Year over year, do you get notified by schools? I know they don't have to reapply, but do they, out of courtesy, say, yes, we're coming back? No. So like, we're saying there's 245 kids. 5 of them could say nothing, and now we only know it's 240.
No, so what they would, I mean, if they decided they weren't coming back, they would unenroll, because they need their school records to be sent to.
That would likely be their
yes,
district.
or wherever they're gonna go, right? So, that's typically how we find out. But it's just like any of our Norton families, they could pick up and move tomorrow, and sometimes they tell us, and
Sometimes no.
sometimes they don't. But, yeah. Anybody have any other questions? Do you guys think you wanna hold on this for a little bit?
I mean, yeah, I don't know, I can vote.
Okay. You good?
Yeah, I mean, if everybody's comfortable with it, I'm fine. You don't have to
Right.
agree, but I mean, if you feel like you have good data,
Right.
and
Well, no, I think the recommendation's a huge help.
are you
I think
comfortable with the data
recommendation-
too, though? 'Cause I mean, that's the thing. I don't want you to like,
I mean,
yeah, like,
am I comfortable with the data? No, but I don't think I'll ever be comfortable with the data unless if I
Okay.
give it, you know what I'm saying?
that's fair.
Well, like, you know, unless you pull all
Christine,
246
stop the budget
kids.
stuff.
And that's-
shake
that's-
the-
that's-
take it by a thread.
Yeah. One other comparable I just was thinking about,
You know, it's like.
is if you kind of think about this a little in a little bit of a different way that, I don't know, if it's just kind of throwing it out there. But if you look at like the 8th graders that don't come here for high school, it's similar to the conversation you brought up earlier. We're still not shutting down classrooms, and we lose 30 kids to other, you know, to southeastern Bristol County. So it's kind of that same thought process is we're still not shutting down, you know, a freshman class, or we're not getting rid of a freshman teacher,
Yes.
but we're still losing
But-
30 kids to other schools.
Yes, but it would be a better example to me, because at that point, you're starting to go to different classes, you're going to different teachers anyway. It would be like saying that for second grade,
But say,
going
for
into
example,
third grade, you lose 30 kids, you wouldn't be able to lose a third grade.
say like every freshman has to
I would
take,
have a lot of
you know,
concerns about where those kids
English.
went if we lost 30 kids. from one
Yeah.
grade.
I go to private school, their parents are still paying taxes here, so.
Yes.
That's what, the revenue's still coming in, so. Hate to do business about it, but it is what it is.
All right, so if we don't have any other questions, we have a motion to approve the school choice recommendations as written.
Yeah, we don't have a written,
This,
It's on the.
yeah, you do, it's in the packet.
So I guess the motion would be,
just, let me read through it real quick. Sorry.
So the motion would
in the
be,
paragraphs.
correct.
Right.
would be
Five
for,
new,
for fiscal year 25. School choice enrollments would be limited to grades 7 through 10.
New.
New,
I would just want to add that we would,
Yeah.
we would allow
Yeah,
training
that's
sites to
fine.
stay in the district.
Here's my thing though. If we get like 7. Like, I'm not gonna say to 2 people, no. Like, I think there needs to be a little flexibility, like, we're anticipating 5, but like if 7 show up and like a set of twins shows up or something, like. I
Only
just,
take one.
well,
should
I
have
mean,
been
at
faster,
some point-
first come, first served.
we don't have a cap.
there's no magic number, but
Yeah, but like, we don't technically have a cap, but we do have a cap. You're not gonna go and let in, it's 70 grade 7 kids, you know, we just don't say, we're only taking 30. We're kind of like, we're gonna add 5, that would be 26. If we had twins coming in, we would say, yeah, 27 is good.
like if number 5 is the older twin and number 6 is
The
the
goal
older
is to-
twin. Sorry.
Yeah,
Well, is it older?
So, I mean, I think it's just one of those things that it,
the goal is to increase a little bit,
Yes.
to not go 15 extra kids in
Yes,
21.
and
But then around
honestly,
5.
7 to 10, we don't see all of a sudden 10 kids show up. It's.
Yeah.
It's, perfect. So,
one of those apartments. Kid.
I know, right? Not so much.
Might not be school choice, but there might be 7 or 10 new kids showing up.
Well, and that's residential, so that is
That's
something
not-
out of our hand, so.
All right, so we're back to the motion.
So I would,
Yeah,
all right, I would motion to approve the school choice, as written with the addition of allowing, transplanted students to remain in the district.
Okay, is there a second?
second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Thank you.
Unanimous. All right, so discussion and vote on. club and
Casey, thanks for your
athletic
work on this too, by the way.
fees. Yeah, Casey, thank you. Okay, Christine, you're up.
So what you have in front of you is similar to what we've seen before, we're just trying to narrow down the key pieces that we've discussed. So we typically were giving you recommendations before when we were discussing, some of our reductions on the items in yellow, just so that you had an idea of where the numbers that we came from when we met together. And, the other ones, if you have any questions, are just different increases. So typically we were giving a $50 increase, and then there was the options of 100, but. And then, hockey was one of the ones that was a little bit different, would be, $100 increase.
So,
Mhm.
I had a couple questions. I was looking at this. I guess my first thought would be if we went to 100 on sports, just the general fee, and 100 on transportation, that's $104,000 of impact. I mean, that's at least one position we could keep, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how we're not doing that, quite honestly, right now. And I'll tell you right now, I paid both of those fees. So it's not something that I'm gonna have to pay the money. But if we can keep a position, and I don't know why we wouldn't go up to the 100 on both of them.
We've done it before.
Yeah, I mean,
The only thing I want to say is that, with the number of staff reductions that we had going now, that was based off the 50, so it wouldn't be a full 100 before, so it would be like that.
say that again, sorry. So the reductions we have now,
It is based with the 29 staff members, it's based off of these original items that we gave in the yellow with $50, so it wouldn't be a full,
So-
another additional.
Yeah, so we're already projecting that we're gonna get 52,000 back, or what, the 26,000 there,
Plus the
and then
26.
26,000 there. So we already are counting on the fact that we're getting 52,000. So moving it up to 100 each would give us an extra 52.
okay, well, that's
I mean, I just, another 52,000 is
it's
great.
on the
so-
way.
Yes,
to the position.
yes.
Right.
I was just trying
I just wanted to
be
make
fair,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so then add the middle school athletics, sports up to 100, that's another 5,000 then, I assume?
Yeah.
Right, so now we're at 57,000. I mean,
So
I think we have average teacher at 68, so.
Yeah.
So
we do.
everything at 100.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I hate to say that, but I mean, I don't.
This is. Speaking it from a standpoint of, I completely understand what Dinesh is saying. There's another piece of me here. From a taxpayer side, looking at this saying, wait a second, you told us you're gonna cut 28 positions. We go and save a position, this is where the transparency piece comes in of, you're finding money, no increased fees. So to me, I think we should stick to our guns on what we said when we looked at all the cuts and through the executive sessions with the unions and blah, 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 and stick to exactly what we said. 1%, if this is what we get from 1%, these are the positions that's happening, these are the increases in fees we do, which would have been that $50. So $50 for a high school sports. The only thing I didn't really understand was the middle school one, because I had middle school, I had at 13,350 over the 1% and not 9,000. So we just need to look at that one, I guess, a little bit. But like, my piece is we kind of got to, hey, if we got 0%, if we got 1%, if we got 4% from the town, this is what we were looking to do. I think we stick to the exact same plan. We've had that plan in place in terms of what we're doing. This is what we're rolling with. We told you what we were doing. That's how we're going to stick to it. And then when it all comes down in the town meeting in 2 weeks or whatever it is, everyone knows this is exactly what they said they were going to do. And we did it.
Well, I'm good with that. All right, you saved me $100.
Well, other than lights.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, sitting here for the past 9 years. And I know Nick and Justine, you guys knew the other three, we've been trying to reduce or eliminate fees for years.
Right.
And as much as, Nick so eloquently stated, it's maybe a position, maybe two. But there's so many positions, what position takes that? Like, how do we even, it's just. And I would love to be able to save positions. I mean, I don't pay the transportation fee. I pay 2 sports fees. Unfortunately, with my daughter's academic record, I'll be paying a lot of National Honor Society fees next year. I've paid a lot of extra fees this year. So I mean, I'm stuck between, what Dinesh and Nick both just said. Do we raise the fees to save a position? And it's a tough pill to swallow because everyone's budget is taxed already, and the last thing I would want is $100 could tax somebody out of participating. And I can already hear when the bus fee goes up, 123 is going to be more traffic. It happens the first of every school year. And you have that many less kids because $100 could tax the budget away from transportation.
Yeah, I've actually changed my mind. I'm gonna agree with you guys. No, Nick, what you said makes a lot of sense, actually. Like, we said this is what's gonna happen. We kind of got to stick to the guns on that. I actually agree.
So I guess would be more for Christine. So Christine, we had originally $13,350 if we increase middle school fees. So I don't know if it's in between 50 and 100 that we need to do, but like that 9,000 falls short.
I understand what you're saying. Wait a second. So that extra amount was when Aaron and myself were going through the middle school sports. We were saving money on other subscriptions and different things. That was the extra.
Okay.
So that was just added, but it wasn't with fees.
Got it. Okay, so the fee money, we basically cut additional things at the middle school sports level to get to that 13.
That original 13, yeah, sorry.
Okay, so then if we did a $50 increase across all athletics, high school and middle school for every single sport, with the one exception of hockey, because we know how expensive it is, that would go to an extra $100. We would get to the numbers that we said we would, if you will, at 1%.
That's correct.
Which is $37,500.
In the middle and high school clubs, I'm having trouble understanding exactly what we're saying here. So we're saying we charge them 50 now, and
There's a $200 cap.
and we're saying no cap with 50.
Yeah. So the rate stays the same. It just kids have to pay for every club.
And then that number, we had originally at $16,000. That's with a cap of a $200 cap. This number would now be 16,800 plus all the additional money. So like that, what I'm saying is with the clubs, we're not doing what we said. We're making more money.
With the clubs, we're getting rid of the cap, and it's very variable because it's hard to track all. We pretty much just backed into all the kids that are at cap off of spreadsheets from the middle school and high school. And if they were to pay 50 for their max, this was the extra money that we would then get to then offset the budget on the club's fees.
So like middle school drama is a great example of this, because by the time middle school drama rolls around, it's like late winter, early spring. Kids have 9 times out of 10 already reached their max for the year. And we have like 100 kids that do middle school drama. So that's something that we're not really bringing in any fee on that particular area. It is harder to, because it's harder to know what kids are going to sign up for. So it's a little bit more variable.
Of course, yeah. So
as Christine said.
So I guess to my standpoint then is we were gonna offset $16,000 worth with a 1% increase. The closest number we get to that would be doing a $50 no cap fee. $14,000. And like you said, it is variable, so we said 16, but
Well,
it might end up
when
being
all is said and done, it might be 18.
That
it
was
also
like,
could be 10.
that was
I think that
just
number is
as of that day.
Yes, I agree, totally agree. So I guess for a club standpoint, again, going back to what we did, I would be more inclined to say no cap. But it's $50 every club you join. That gets us to a number that you're gonna have flexibility within anyway, you know?
And
But
that's
it removes the,
recommendation, right?
all it really does
Yes.
is remove the cap. That's what we did.
What does sports activities, what is the current cap? Is it just on clubs, or it's not on sports, right? We removed that last year,
Yes.
so it's just clubs.
Don't have a cap. So now what we would do is we're removing the cap for clubs as well.
Yeah, that's right. So it's almost like the first step that we took with sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
Great.
Okay, anything else?
what about transportation?
That's next on the
Oh,
agenda.
Yeah,
Oh, same sheet.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so we-
I thought
So the
We're on the
motion,
same page with you guys.
yes,
Yeah.
so the motion would be to increase all high school and middle school athletic fees by $50 per sport with no cap,
Mhm.
with the exception of hockey, which would be increased $100. And remove the cap from all clubs at the middle school and high school levels. And charge $50 per club there.
And middle school wrestling is going to $200. And middle school cross country is going to 175.
Correct.
Correct, because it was a big
Going up
increase. by-
50.
Yes,
Yeah.
Right.
yes, that'd still be a $50 increase.
So moved now.
All those in favor?
Got that?
I start a little budget
So we
stuff.
didn't do, what did you do for transportation?
We're doing
No,
that.
no, no,
So we got a motion so far.
So the motion
And I
is,
think we have
yeah.
a second.
I think
right?
an easy way to put it is $50 increase for high school and middle school sports
Hockey's 100.
across the
Right.
board. Hockey's 100. Clubs, we're removing the cap. Each club you're a part of at the middle school or high school level is $50.
And middle school wrestling is 200 and cross country is 175.
That's correct.
That's the motion.
Good job, Ellen.
Okay.
Second, or no?
No, you didn't.
Who made the motion?
So moved.
And who made the motion?
I made the motion.
No.
Second.
And then you seconded,
Denied
okay.
a second.
All those in favor?
Denies. Okay.
I'm gonna be a no.
Are you a no?
So
I'm a no.
3-1, sorry, 4-1.
So 4-1.
4-1.
Sorry, Dan, I didn't see you.
Okay.
Hey, why do you know? Out of curiosity.
I don't wanna raise fees, I just,
Ah, okay, all right.
it's just call it a morality clause, I just don't wanna raise.
No,
fees.
I get it. I was curious if there's something. That was
No.
missing.
Just
No, that's.
principle.
I don't want to either.
Don't
I
disagree
guess-
with you.
I guess that's what people want, so here we are. All right, discussion and vote on transportation fees. Just keep going.
We said $50, maybe $30.
Yeah, we
Yep.
keeping it at 50?
We said what we're gonna do with 1%, it's gonna be $26,000 in transportation fees, which would require a $50 increase across all
Okay.
buses.
And did we look at, we looked at elimination?
We don't have-
Yes, it's an $83,000 savings. Because you're losing 130 that we bring in, we still have to bring sixth graders here. So it's not as much of a savings, but it would definitely create a lot more traffic and chaos.
So hard to believe.
Isn't it unbelievable?
Well, that would go against what we just talked about with splitting up families, because if you have a sixth grader and eighth grader at the same house, and you don't let the eighth grader on the bus, it's kind of ridiculous.
Well, and you know, you can almost guarantee the sixth grader's not gonna pay the fee
Yeah.
either, because why bother? You
Yeah.
have to bring
Quite
one of
frankly,
them over.
Well, it would be a for sixth grader.
I,
Do it on the.
if we get to that point, there's, yeah, I mean, I just think bus fees in general to me, again, morality clause, I guess, is absolutely insane when we're funding an athletic program to get on their bus. I mean, like, at the end of the day, if you're gonna tell me, hey, you gotta pick one or the other, I'm gonna pick, you gotta go to school on your bus, and athletics is gonna be paid at better play.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't get into cutting buses, I think we just do exactly how we've done it, increase the fee by $50, and then here we go again.
Not to sound like an old man, but I mean, I didn't pay any fees when I went to school. Like, I'm just saying, like, this is.
Did you walk uphill?
Oh, wait, no, I took my dinosaur
With no shoes.
back in the Stone Age, took my T-Rex.
This is the most depressing meeting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway.
just wait.
Here we go.
We got a new reading program, I forgot that was on.
We should go back to that in a moment. All right, so transportation at $50.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
No.
opposed?
No.
Dan's a no.
Yes, no.
See, I asked this time, Dan.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right, JCS principal search and selection of committee representatives.
Yes, so Dr. Marcus is moving on to his next step in his career. As such, we need to hire a principal for JCS. We're looking for a representative stakeholder group, which would also include school committee membership. The application, the posting for the position went out on April 12th. It's going to remain open through tomorrow, end of business. We're looking to put together a team to start to review the applications, schedule interviews the first week in May, then schedule finalist interviews, site visits, community forums like that May 15th, 16th area. Forward a recommendation to Jen by the close of that week, and then hopefully get affirmation from the committee on the meeting on May 23rd.
We have applicants.
Right now, we have 15.
Wow, cool.
Any internal? Is it the same process for internal? Like they just go to the posting and apply?
No internal candidates.
So tonight you're looking for somebody from the school committee
That
to
would
sit on
be-
the committee.
Membership would be terrific.
Justine, we are just volunteering you for everything right now.
She volunteered herself.
That's fine.
I
I
know.
did.
This one's volunteer.
I did.
Okay, well, there you go.
Voluntold.
Justine,
Sounds
Unless
great.
anyone else
Thank
wants
you.
to, but.
No, I think that's a good fit. Yeah, you have littles. It's
Yeah.
a good fit.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for me or Dan.
No. Well,
Or you?
May not be here next time.
yeah. All right, on that note, do we have other business?
I just want to mention to the committee that we have been invited, or requested to attend the finance committee meeting on Monday night to present our 1% budget to the committee. Christine is working on that recommendation. It is, I'll be honest, I'm not really sure what else we can present.
So I guess I'm confused. Haven't we done this?
I know.
Don't tell me,
Represent
like,
you.
what? Right, like, what are we doing?
And so, I mean,
Are they
quite
expecting
honestly,
you to say this is what we're cutting?
perhaps, and I've shared a lot of that with you guys already. Perhaps, so in that spirit, 42 staff members will be getting letters tomorrow. 29 of them are, cuts, like actual elimination of positions, but because of the way that, the whole process works, some of those letters will be transfer letters. Some of them are, bumping, yeah, so like transfers, you're gonna be moving here. Some people, we have like long-term subs that have a 1-year contract, those letters will go out at the same time tomorrow. We've literally spent the entire week going over and quadruple checking that we're doing this correctly and that the right people are getting these
How do
letters
people already
tomorrow.
know they're getting cut?
In some cases, principals may have had conversation with somebody, just to say, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. But official letters are going out tomorrow across the district. All the principals have everything they need.
Well, I
Because
mean,
I've gotten a few who've already said, I know my position's been eliminated.
Well, and I think there are definitely some people that
Some
are
transparency.
looking at the writing on the
People
wall
watching the meetings,
as
they
well,
kinda-
right? So that they understand, we've been very clear about the fact that we're trying to keep cuts away from classrooms, especially elementary classrooms. So if you're in a position that is, you know, a little bit more
So 29,
outside of that,
so the total number is 29 reduction in staff.
yes.
What's the 42 number?
So that really means people
Non-renewals.
who are a senior staff member, the position they're in is no longer going to be there, but they're being transferred
Yeah.
to somewhere else. And then also there are some staff members that are going to be getting a reduction in full-time status. So they may be going from a 1.0 down to a 0.8 or a 0.6 based on their role in the budget process.
So the 42 is just
Just the number of
related to
letters.
positions with 29.
Yes, because there's so much movement.
So I do have a question,
Mhm.
speaking a little bit. If we have a non-renewal for whatever, say it's,
Mhm.
I can't even. Do we have positions we still need to have filled that potentially can't be filled by those who are being reduced? For example, if we have an English teacher at the high school that resigns, but we don't have any of those positions at the high school,
We may need to hire someone new,
Okay.
yes.
so we still have to be active in the job search
Yes.
potentially,
Yep.
even
So
though
you're
we're.
gonna have.
Right, so for example, we have a school psychologist that is retiring at the end of this year. We do not have anyone else in the district that is qualified to be a school psychologist, so we will go out and post for that position. We have the grit classroom at JCS that we need a special educator who's qualified to fill that role.
Yeah.
So we will still be posting for a few positions. They are not new positions, they are simply positions that have been vacated for one reason or another that we need to find a qualified
Not
candidate.
related to the budget.
Correct.
You gotta look at it as not in terms of people, in terms of
Positions.
actual positions, titles.
Yes, so 29 positions
Correct.
have been eliminated.
So can I ask? I'm gonna ask you to repeat this because my little pea brain is not wrapping it. It's all around it. So first of all, the sheet that we got.
Yeah.
You said 42, there's 44
Oh, okay.
things on here.
I must have miscounted when I was signing a million letters today. I apologize.
So, and looks like 7 of them are reductions in hours, which I assume is FTE change. right?
Yep, FTE change, yep.
So that leaves 37, so 29 people, 29 positions are getting eliminated.
Yes.
The other 7 are what? Or sorry, the other 8.
So when you look, if you look at the first column here, you see, the first 2 teachers there, those are reduction in force.
Yep.
Those are people that do not have seniority to bump someone else. They are not coming back.
Yep.
But then if you look, the position right underneath that,
Yep.
that says the position is eliminated.
Mhm.
So the position is gone, but
Mhm.
that person has enough seniority to be able to go into one of these other positions. And it's extremely complicated, and that's why we've literally looked at these positions. I mean, at the end of the day, Pam and I were going through the list again, okay, let's double check that we did this correctly. The FTE changes are those people that are maybe at a 1.0 and going down.
Okay, so we're,
And then so if you go to the LGN, box,
all right, so I think Nick actually maybe just said this, so it's not people, it's positions. So-
correct,
So we're not actually, one of those grade 5 teachers is gonna be filled by the reading interventionist.
yes,
All right, so maybe then the right way to look at this maybe is not to show us the people, but just show us the positions. So it's 29 positions are eliminated, right?
yes, 29 positions.
29 positions are eliminated. 29. I'm
See,
gonna-
that's what I said. See, this is the problem. Because if you count how many positions are eliminated, this sheet's confusing, I think, for this reason.
Yeah.
There's only 12 positions on here that says position eliminated.
Correct.
But, correct.
And so
I'm just-
it's extremely complicated because the other version of this has people's names here. Right? And so when you see that, it's a little bit easier to understand because of the way the contract works, the way seniority, professional teacher status work. Like, so if you look at the middle school, like these are positions, so the bottom one right there, that's position eliminated, but that person is not able to come back in any other role. Whereas the position right above it is position eliminated, but that person has the seniority to come back in. It's very complicated.
This is my concern, and I'll be completely honest with you. This is going to end up, because it's public information.
Mhm.
Someone's going to look at this and have no idea what the hell's going on, and then they're just gonna make assumptions that you said you eliminated 29 positions, there's only 12
So
on here.
what I'm planning on doing, not tomorrow, but in my newsletter to families next week is walking through the positions that we have eliminated. And that will be done for families. I will not be putting staff names there,
Right.
but I will be saying, we eliminated these 4 positions. We eliminated this program. We eliminated this.
And I think it's also important to include there, though it's not names. Hypothetically, I'm just making this thing up so no one freak out. If we cut a social studies teacher at the high school, that role could be filled from somewhere else in the district. That position is gone. That person, however, because of the NTA, then can move and bump the lowest person at the middle school level. If they're certified, obviously.
And retirements, so
Correct.
someone could
Yes.
fill a retirement position, even though we eliminated
Thank
a
you.
job,
Correct.
the person may not get eliminated. So 29 positions are getting eliminated, not necessarily 29 people. It should be less than 29 people, I think, right?
Yes.
Because there'll be some retirements.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So, and like, for example, we had a resignation at the high school in a department that we were going to eliminate a teacher. So therefore, we didn't have to eliminate a teacher because somebody resigned.
And it is very important as well, because this always gets blown out. 29 positions. They are admin, they are custodial, they are specialist, they are some classroom teachers. It is spread as best as we possibly could across the board. That made the most sense. We didn't just pick grade 5 and say, that's a great one to cut. We're cutting it simply because from a class size standpoint, hey, it made more sense to cut the grade 5 teacher because there's less kids in that class next year than it would be to cut the 3rd grade teacher. We did our complete best in terms of trying to make this, one, as fair as possible, and 1A, and the most important, to try to keep it as a reduction, as least impactful to our students as we possibly could.
And I think it's also important to note that 29 position cuts for the schools is devastating. This is a huge amount of staff. These are positions that are needed. These are positions that provide services to students. They provide support to classroom teachers. And we will see the impact of this moving forward. I don't want the community to think we had 29 positions that were just extra and we could cut.
Oh, but
It took a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of really crappy conversations to get to this point. Like, nothing about this feels good at all.
So can we see this a little differently? So can we see the 29 positions that are eliminated, the 29 positions we will no longer have here?
Yes.
And then separately, the number of people, as you can see,
Yeah,
the number
absolutely.
that are getting, laid off as
Yeah.
well. Because I think Nick and I both were confused about what we were looking
Yeah,
at.
I'm sorry. It's a lot of semantics and
Right, and I actually, in a discussion with Paul Daniels today, I was saying, but I'm looking at the sheet, we have like 44 people cut, that's our, we're losing 44 positions, but we're actually not.
no.
So, it's gonna be 29.
Personnel changes,
Yeah,
I think is the safe thing to say.
I mean, some of them, like the 7 reduction in hours, that's a hit to those people, I mean, there's no doubt
Yes.
about that. But the 29 positions eliminated is the actual elimination of that position will
Yes.
no longer be at Norton Public Schools.
And I'll actually, Dinesh, when I share that with you guys, I'll actually include the reductions as well. So if it's a 1.0, I'll say we're losing 4 of this role.
Yeah.
Cause those are losses as well.
And then this is me being picky, but when we say coach, we like maybe just clarify that, because I think people are gonna think it's
Sounds
like
like sports
athletic
coach.
stuff.
It's not, yeah.
So like if we just put on there whether it's career coach or curriculum coach, whatever it may be.
Yep.
So like, my other question, kind of circling back to, say, a non-renewal position. Do we have any non-renewals that were also a position eliminated, like, not like double dipping, but like, say, for example, I'm just gonna pick on it because it's easy. Say we have like a non-renewal guidance position and we were going to eliminate a guidance, like, it's not like a double savings, right? Like,
No, so,
like if someone was let go for cause.
So non-renewals are, when we let staff go because it's not a fit. There will be cases of that where we're saying, okay, this was not a fit. That person, we're gonna move on, but we're not going to backfill that position. Yes, we do have a few of those.
Do we have any non-renewals that where we are backfilling, and could any of these 29 members take those positions?
Yes, potentially.
Okay.
And I also think we might have 1 or 2 more retirements between now and the end of the year, just from conversations that I'm having with staff. So there's also the potential that somebody may be able to be called back because one of their colleagues retired.
How does that work? Like, do we have a certain time frame that we can recall them?
18 months. We're actually required to recall them.
So 4 months, huh? Wow.
That's only if they're still out of work, though, theoretically.
I mean, we're required to offer them the position within 18 months. Sometimes people take us up on it, and sometimes, I mean, typically it's not 18 months down the road that we're recalling the position, but.
So, thinking ahead, and we all know what's going on with budget, and I'm not gonna get into it. Do we have a list, say there is an influx of money due to what the taxpayers say in the next few months? Do you have like a list of priorities of those 29 positions to bring back?
Yes, so, when we last met, we talked about the positions, and they kind of went down from.
Tiers.
Yes, they went down the tiers, so we'll do the opposite. We'll start at the bottom and work our way back.
Because like my thought, if we're looking at like a dean position, not a priority, in my opinion. I would rather have a classroom teacher back, not a dean. Like, I just want to make sure we're on kind of that.
And it also will greatly depend, Dan, on when we were to get any money, right? So like, if we're not going to get money until November, it's a different conversation about what makes sense at that time.
Well, I think that's another huge piece that FinCom, we need to make sure we stress that maybe again on Monday, or whatever day we're meeting with them, because the override is all well and good. The override happens in May, June, whatever, July. It's still gonna hurt us. We still have already made those cuts. If people are already going to be probably looking for jobs because they're out of one. That like, the longer we extend that vote, whether it be September, October, November, if we start the year with down 29 positions and that override goes through, let's just hypothetically say it goes through on, October 30th. November 1st, we have the ability to rehire. Who are we hiring?
I have no idea where you're finding
But
people.
don't forget, if it passes on whatever, October 1st, we have to actually then, as a town, go out and collect that tax revenue
Right.
too. It's not a pile of money we have sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
So it's a year.
Yes.
I mean, it's a
Correct.
year
Yes.
out, correct, without a doubt.
And I think that needs to be
Yeah.
stressed as well,
Yes.
that like these positions aren't just gonna magically appear back.
They're gone.
Even with, correct,
I
they're
think
they're
it's
gone
almost-
until next year.
You're laughing about it, but they are gone. That's it.
I think you almost have to look at it as almost like next year's budget.
Yes.
Yeah,
No, of course.
you have to, 100%. Not
Because
almost,
I
you
mean,
have to.
if there's, if we get some of these positions we could grab in the middle of the year, if, say it's, I don't even know, a special math interventionist. If we can get a math interventionist, yeah, let's get a math interventionist.
We won't have the money.
Yeah.
I know, I'm just, even in the best case scenario in the past override, it's, we
Right.
won't have the money until next
And
year.
I think the other key piece that you kind of got blasted for a little bit was even with an override, unless if it's that bigger one, we are still losing positions.
Correct.
We are not back to level
The 4
services
million.
with a $4 million override.
Correct.
Well, and the other part
It
of it,
will help, but it's not going to be the saving grace.
our positions are gone either way, because our budget closes before.
Correct. Next year.
Before even the part of that override.
And-
Our books are closed June 30th.
And also, our staff is able to collect unemployment the day after school ends. So all of our schools are getting out June 13th, except for JCS, which gets out June 14th. And they're able to collect that very next day. And so that's an expense to the town as
So
well.
when, I guess, maybe I'm naive to know about it. When can a teacher collect, for example, if I'm a teacher that gets laid off and then I sign a contract to start the next school year in, say, Mansfield, they can theoretically collect
Until
through the
they
summer
start.
until they're employed again,
Yes.
even though they may have signed the contract
Which I would
July
assume
5th.
pretty much everybody does that, because why wouldn't you? You'd be kind of dumb for
I mean, I'll be honest, I got laid off 3 years in a row.
and you got called back.
I got called back before the end of the school year every single time, but I don't know how we do that this year. But we will be posting for a few positions like those ones that I talked about. We cut 2 out of the 3 math interventionists. They are all, we're going to repost one of those 3 positions. We're gonna post one of them, but in order to make it equitable, people will have to apply for
And I
it. So
do,
those types of things.
and this is me being nitpicky, but I think from you and central office down, the principals really need to hone in on when, do not say a word until those papers are out. Because I've already gotten a few emails and calls being like, my position was eliminated, why? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about there. So like, the principals, I don't want to blame anyone, but like, who's ever said these to people, I can give you a school by school, but like, it needs to be a little bit more like, everyone gets their stuff on this day. If you don't.
Then you're all set, you're good.
I don't think that's nitpicky at all. I think
No,
that's
I-
just how it should be.
I
You
agree.
know, the principals
And it's
fall
actually-
under
That's how
Jim's
rumors, that's how
jurisdiction.
rumors start.
Oh, it
It's been-
started last year. It was
Correct.
terrible last year because of that.
I think that's honestly, Jen, I think that's a conversation you have to have. with your
Absolutely.
leaders.
Yeah.
Because,
100% agree.
To me, it's a slap in the face to central office as well.
Yeah.
You've gone through this entire process trying to figure out how to make this work, and we don't want to be doing this. And then for them to kind of just be like, well, sorry, your position's getting cut, with no formal announcement. We saw it last year, remember when the teachers went and told the
Oh,
kids,
yeah.
kids are crying, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's not how you handle
And-
it.
and- I mean, and honestly, I think it comes from a place of
Yes.
wanting to be respectful
Yeah,
and kind and
kind.
understanding that this is
Yeah.
someone's livelihood.
Yep.
Right.
There's a time for that on Friday at 4 o'clock.
Right.
Unfortunately, people talk. Once you say something, it just goes like.
That is unbelievable.
It is.
Sadly, what a sad day.
So yeah, so I will, that's it.
So can we just circle back to, finance committee meeting, if I'm not available Monday? Didn't realize they wanted us to come yet again.
Isn't our
Like, do we need?
principal thing for Monday, right?
Yes.
Okay.
so that's why I volunteered.
It's before, volunteered before.
Method of the-
Is this something that we need to do? Like, what is
So we were told that we were scheduled for Monday night on Tuesday morning, and asked to provide, they want us to present our 1% budget, and they want us to provide, a line by line salary report, for every single Norton employee, the current salary and the projected salary for next year.
I'm
What
under
does
the
that
Karen-
have to do with
I'm under the
1%
impression that
budget?
that is not the FinCom asking that.
It's
That
one
is
person.
One person on the FinCom asking.
One person.
In the email I received, which I forwarded to you, I was told that that's what the FinCom is asking for. Apparently that's what they get from the town side. The town side has access to the software to be able to do that. Because all of our payroll goes through the town hall, we do not have that same software. So it is literally a
But
cut
from
and
the town
paste
permit?
process from our budget, from our salary book, which is extremely, like, it's not just a data dump. It's going to take Christine and Courtney a huge amount of time for them to pull this information.
I think that you guys have done enough work over the last few months that the answer is just no right now. The answer is no. I'm
And
sorry.
we were asked to provide it tomorrow, and I said that we
Jesus,
simply
Mary Jo,
cannot do
stop.
that. I said, with the, with the week that we've had, with the short timeline and the week that we've had trying to figure out all of these layoffs, we just don't have the capacity to
I
do
would
that work. And I said,
respectfully say,
we can get it for you for Monday, the 1%. I did not say we could get the salaries by Monday.
I'm confused on why do they wanna see the salaries?
Because I know what they want to see. They want to see that here's all the salaries, here's what we paid this year, here's the increase, and what's the percentage increase. That's why they want to see it.
Well, and
It has nothing to do with our 1%
Like, you
budget.
have no,
They want to see, they're not gonna see names. They're gonna go to the
I
town.
mean, they want to see
report.
it, they can
Right.
see
However,
it.
They can get it there.
This isn't the first time we've done this exercise. We've done this before for the same person asking. This isn't the first time.
Well, it's not, it doesn't
We-
even, you can't, you can blame it on one person, because I think we all know who the person is. The FinCom is asking for it. FinCom, he should have all.
But
the
they
Who
have
actually,
access
oh,
to
who
We
sent
don't
the
wanna do that.
request? It was Mike Units. It was not the FinCom.
Then he can.
The Fin-
Somebody will think I'll ask for it.
I'm sure. I think we all. know who it is.
My point is, we did not have the capacity this week to turn around anything like
Then
that.
that's fine.
And,
That's
you
okay.
know, ultimately, I report to the 5 of you. So if the 5 of you are asking me to provide something, we are more than happy to do
No,
whatever.
we're not.
But we just did not have, I just don't have we don't have the capacity to
No.
do it.
And that's our
I-
answer.
Right.
In your
The
spirit,
answer is no.
you are dealing with 42 letters that are being sent out,
44.
44 letters tomorrow, like,
When did he ask for this?
this is insanity.
Tuesday morning.
So I guess my thoughts on this are this. The line by line salary request has nothing to do with the
With
1% budget presentation.
Yeah.
If down the road they would like to see that, sure. Let's get through budget season, let's get to town meeting, let's get to through the 1%. And then if they choose to meet again over the summer, or they want to wait till the fall, we'll give it to them that. Where we have 5 buildings under your purview with 400 something employees that you have to manage daily. You don't have the time for this one request. Respectfully,
Never mind what
That's
they're going to go through tomorrow.
and they're not gonna go through
Like,
it line by line
enough.
that night.
Enough. We're done jumping through hoops.
And
I'm
The
sorry.
thing is, to me, the request isn't a bad one.
It's the
You
wrong
wanna
time
see it.
for it.
Why didn't you ask this in February 1st? Why didn't you say, hey,
Now
listen,
all of a sudden it's needed. with
now
less
it's
than a week's
needed and
notice.
we need to jump through hoops to try to get that done and take away from 1, what's gonna be a crazy day tomorrow. And then 2, obviously, coming off of vacation and everything else, like, to me, it's just insane that you're gonna want, this isn't pulling 15 people here and we can quickly run the numbers, you know? If it's a huge, long, drawn-out process, you can't give us 4 business days and expect that.
So needless to say, I will not be there Monday because it's probably smart for me not to be there.
And I
Well,
think
we don't need a quorum, correct?
we do not. We are just presenting.
So if you can be there, you can be there,
Oh,
and not.
Haven't we already, just to review this, didn't we already present
Yes.
a 1%
Yes.
budget to them?
Yes.
And
So-
3 and
so-
5
yes.
and like,
Yep.
right?
So what Christine has been doing this week, in addition to doing everything that I need her to help me with and
Right.
everything
Her
else.
regular job.
Her
Her
actual
job.
goals.
Again, and that's what I just mentioned.
What is
We
my
have
actual
9 to
job?
5 jobs. This is an extra piece of the job that we can't accommodate right now.
So when we give you guys our line by line budget, you know all
Yes,
those pages,
yes.
right? So Christine is in the process of creating that 1% budget line by line that we share with you, because, and ultimately that is what we will present to them on Monday night. But I don't know how much else we can present
There's an idea.
in terms of
Tell
anything
them,
new.
tell them, we'll absolutely give you the salaries. Fill it on, FLYA.
But they already have the
Freedom of
information.
Information Act. No, if they don't have the information.
No, they do.
Fill
They
the
just don't
act.
wanna get it
Then,
themselves.
then know what we're gonna do, we're gonna turn
But-
around and tell the FinCom, hey, Freedom of Information Act, it's going to take her 40 hours, it's gonna take Courtney 70 hours. And of the 130 or whatever, 110 hours it's gonna take, here's their hourly rate, this is how much it's gonna cost you to get that information.
And you know, I have to, and I emailed Mike this afternoon, and I said, we just can't get this for you tomorrow morning, we've had this week. I do not want to be seen as combative, I do not want to be seen that we're not cooperating. We
Then-
are
Then you
more
can
than happy to
say,
cooperate with anything, however,
you can
I
say the
just,
school
we
committee
just
said.
do not have the capacity and the time
Then you can
right
vote
now.
for it.
You have given them a 5-year projections. You have,
Right.
you
This is
have
enough.
presented. This is, I can't.
I like it, Nick.
The problem is until we can't keep getting punched in the face. At some point, you gotta go on offense. You wanna put all these things against us? We'll do it for you. it's gonna cost you a pretty penny to do it.
Because at the end of the day, this
Because if we
is,
keep doing this, oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna play nice, we're gonna play nice.
Yeah.
Look what playing nice got us. You want it? We'll do it. No
this
much
is
gonna cost
another,
us
this is another, I
outside of
got
her
you.
job.
I got you. You're a bunch of liars.
Another budget.
Thank you.
You're putting additional work in front of our already thin stretch, admin staff. I'm not pulling this for you to get it. You want this information by July 1? We can chip away at it, on a Friday afternoon and do whatever. Sure. 4 days, we're not doing it. And that's what I would say. And that's what the school committee also said.
Has asked you to say. Great. We good?
We're good.
All right.
And I'll be there.
So I only have one thing. Does anybody else have anything?
No.
Just a reminder after this lovely meeting, that the ITAC basketball game is coming up a week from tomorrow, 7 o'clock at the high school. Sadly, in the last 2 months, we've had 3 parent losses. So, I guess I can go on record in saying this is the last year for ITAC. So, the committee would like to go out in a big way. We have a lot of families to help. It's been a great run. But it's just hard, it's been hard to maintain. So, tickets are on sale. It's all over Facebook. The schools, the high school students went to the schools and tried to, get the little ones excited. So I'm hoping, everyone's hoping it's a good turnout. But,
Purchase tickets right online. So it's a lot easier in terms of.
And at the door.
And at the door if we don't sell out online.
yeah,
So yeah.
that's it.
Thank you.
Anything else from you guys? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.